right. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are talking about cover letters, tips, and tricks here. My name is Doug Casey. I'm the Assistant Director for Student Engagement here with our Business Career Center. Have any of you been into the Business Career Center before? Perfect. Awesome. Love it. So continue coming back to see us. We're happy to help with anything and everything. When it comes to cover letters, we are happy to meet with you daily, weekly, whatever it takes for you all to feel as comfortable and confident with your cover letter, because these can be very tricky documents to write. So some of you said you did have a cover letter. How do you feel about your cover letter right now? Are you confident in it? Are you so-so about it? Okay, good. This is why we're here today. So we're going to go through some things really quick. The whole presentation should only be about 15 or 20 minutes because I want to save some time for you all to ask some personalized questions. Questions that we talk about here, or just questions about your own individual document. And honestly, if you have a cover letter with you, I'd be happy to take a look at that very briefly as well. Okay? Perfect. So we're going to dive right in here. Feel free to ask any questions about cover letters. Some of this is going to be very high level, so obviously you already know the answers to some of these things. But we just want to make sure that everyone's all on the same playing field here. So when it comes to cover letters, the question always is, do I really need one? Oftentimes, you will see job applications that will say it's required, or you'll see job applications will say cover letters are optional. Always, resumes are required. But anymore, cover letters are now being just optional anymore. So really, it's up to you to think about, can I write a cover letter in the time that I need in order to apply for this job? And B, can I write a good cover letter? Your cover letter is an extension of the interview process, right? Just as we talk with resumes, if you have grammatical errors or misspellings in your cover letter, that's obviously going to be a very bad look for you. So you want to make sure that you are confident, well prepared, and your document is very well polished. So we always say that a strong cover letter can help you, while really if you just try to rush through something really quick just to put a cover letter in, that may end up actually hurting you. So sometimes it may be better to just go ahead and leave that off of the application and just do a resume. So completely up to you. Definitely, it's just something to think about. I'm a big fan of having a solid cover letter written to where you can just go ahead and change a couple things here and there, a couple lines in your cover letter, and apply it to 10 different jobs with 10 different cover letters. So if you get the good bones, good structure in place right now, it's only going to take you a few minutes to then change it and edit it for a new job. And that's what we're going to go over today. So what should really be in the cover letter? Obviously, I'm not going to repeat everything that's up here, but in essence, it is your professional story, just in more of a narrative format. So a resume is very quick hitting bullet points about what you've been able to accomplish, what skill sets you've been able to do. The cover letter is a great opportunity for you now to expand on that, on those bullet points. How did you actually develop and utilize these skills? By addressing that as a story in a cover letter, our recruiters, whoever's reading your cover letter, is able to actually get to know you on a little bit deeper level than what's just on your resume, okay? So as I mentioned, it's not just repeating of it, but it's the story of how you develop these skill sets, how you've been able to apply those skill sets, and it's an opportunity for you to then showcase why you, above everyone else, are the best qualified candidate for this particular role, right? We're not trying to write one cover letter for every single job out there, because then it's not going to be as personable. But if you write a well-written cover letter, well-polished, a very confident cover letter, you're able to again, specifically apply for 10 different jobs and say why you're the best qualified candidate for each of those independent, unique jobs. So you can take a look as to what else should be on there, but really that's the crux of it. And I think the very bottom point here, convey enthusiasm and confidence, is one of the things that our students struggle with the most. The more confident language you can use in your cover letter, the better it is going to be for you. Too often, we'll talk about this later, but too often we get cover letters that say, please consider me for this opportunity. It would be so great for me to work for this company. It would be a great experience for myself. You need to flip that and utilize language that showcases that you are very confident, to say, not that I believe I am the best qualified candidate, say I know that I'm the most qualified candidate because of X, Y, and Z skill set. I look forward to reviewing my application with you, or I look forward to speaking with you about my qualifications. Little changes like that really change the tone of your cover letter from a place of begging to really a place of confidence. So I really wanted to make sure that you all understood that. So this is what a sample cover letter should look like. It's a standard business letter, even though we're not printing out and mailing it. You should still have your address at the top, the date, the person's name, and their contact information on there, just for formality's sake. It just looks very professional and clean. So make sure you're doing all of that. And then you get into the actual meat of the cover letter. And this is where, I believe in this document, that I handed out to you. So on the second page there of this handout, we go into exactly what we're talking about in here. So it breaks it down paragraph by paragraph. What should really be the focus of those paragraphs? And then obviously going down to the middle paragraph is going to be the meat of the cover letter. And then the closing paragraph, just really quick summary of everything. Sign off, again, be very confident. So take a look through that document, the handout that you all have. Really try to mirror your cover letter to what we have here, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that this is a well-written cover letter that makes sense, it is very logical, it goes through a very fluid motion of thought, and you have an opportunity to then very clearly and concisely explain your skill sets, why you're qualified for this position, and describe how you've been able to develop these and how you've been able to utilize these. So as you see up there, every cover letter should be tailored, right? At the very top, the very first paragraph, the very first sentence, I always encourage students to say, my name is Doug Casey. I am very excited to apply for insert job name and insert company name. Because then right then and there, it showcases that you are taking forth the effort to identify which job, which company this is. And with tailoring these cover letters, anytime you have an opportunity to bring in the, excuse me, make sure we don't get feedback. Anytime you have an opportunity to bring in the goals of the company, the mission, the value statements of the company, this is your opportunity to really showcase that you know what you're talking about and you know what you're stepping into. So by tailoring your cover letter, it really allows you to rise to the top, compared to some of your peers who may just have a very blanket document that doesn't really go into too much detail on that. So going through here, we talked about the date, the header, and everything like that. I'm a big fan of just copying and pasting what is on your resume right onto your cover letter. The header of your resume right into the header of the cover letter, because this shows that your documents are then very similar. So if I printed out your resume and your cover letter, it shows consistency between your documents, and that is very professional. So think about that. Some of you may not like doing that. You may copy and paste that, put that into your cover letter, and you say, I hate this. That's okay. As long as your contact information is in there, that's all that matters. But give that a try, and sometimes it does actually consolidate some of that contact information and allows you a little bit of extra space to talk about your wonderful stories and skills. So contact information, we talked about this. Obviously, make sure you have the correct month, day, and the year that you are writing this. It's not the time that the person receives it. It is the date that you are writing this. Get the hiring manager correct. So oftentimes you have an opportunity to know who's actually going to be reading your cover letter. Great, address it to that individual. Sometimes you have no idea who that's going to be, and that is okay as well. That's where you can just say, dear hiring manager. Totally fine, very professional. We are encouraging students not to say to whom it may concern. That's just a very cold way of starting out a cover letter. You want to be as welcoming and as inviting as possible. So if you can, identify the person that's going to be reading this. So if you know the recruiter who's going to be reviewing your applications, recruiters obviously are going to be here on campus at our career fairs or at the information sessions, or if you have an opportunity to get to know them in any other way, great. If you know for a fact that these cover letters are going for a position that's going to the head of the department of whatever company you're applying for, go ahead and if you know the person's name, put that person's name in there. But obviously, if you don't know that, that's okay. Just say, dear hiring manager. So the very first paragraph of the cover letter should be short, sweet, and to the point. Really, I'm not looking for anything more than 4 or 5 sentences max. Too often we receive cover letters that students are trying to put so much information into that beginning paragraph that it gets jumbled and just convoluted. So keep it short and simple. Obviously, as I said, put in the title of the job you're applying for, put in the name of the company. Sometimes people will say how you heard about the opportunity. So say I found this opportunity through Neon Careers, whatever, doesn't matter. If you wanted to put that in there, that's great, especially for some of these positions that you may be applying for that you have no direct contact with the recruiters. So say you found a position on Indeed that's working in Florida or working in California, and maybe it's a good opportunity for you to say how you came to know about this opportunity. So that way they're not they know that you have a very intentional purpose of applying for this position. Context for why you decided to apply for this position and how your values and interests match. I think those are very similar. So obviously saying I look forward, I'm very excited to apply for insert position, insert company name through my skills or through my passions, through my interests of A, B, and C. I know I have what it takes to come in and help your company succeed. Something simple like that. It identifies that you know what you're talking about, you know what position you're applying for, you know what's going to happen when you step into this role. So you know exactly what qualifications, what skill sets that you have that could potentially separate you from your peers. Again, when you're talking about the confidence, this is where that really comes in. And if a company is looking for a candidate that has leadership skills, organizational skills, and whatnot, put that right in there and said, because of the leadership capacity that I have and my organizational skills, I know I am the most qualified candidate for this position. So make sure you put that in there, because this is the personal piece of the cover letter that your peers are going to be different. And if you are able to clearly identify your values, your interests, your skill sets and qualifications there, you're going to be able to rise above the pack. So very quick and simple, 3, 4, 5 sentences tops. It should be really an introduction to what you're going to be talking about in the next 2 paragraphs. So this is just a sample introduction paragraph there. Obviously, it looks a lot bigger. Once you have it on an 8 by 11 page, that's only going to be a couple different lines there. But it tells us a little bit about this person. It tells us what they're interested in. It tells me everything I need to know really from this one paragraph. We can go back there too if you don't have any questions about that later. But moving on here, this is the heart of the cover letter, right? The introduction paragraph talks very briefly about who you are and what skills you have. This is where you actually go ahead and define the skills that you have. So in the paragraph number 1, you just named it. Paragraph numbers 2 and 3, or maybe even 4, actually bring it to life. Tell us how you developed these, through which venues did you do this? Did you hold a leadership position in a student organization? Did you hold a previous internship within the field especially? Do you have any prior connections with this company? Sometimes it's a great opportunity to identify that you worked, the company's culture because you worked on a case competition, or you were able to job shadow someone, or were just able to know from someone about this company culture. These are ways that, again, you can actually put into a narrative your skill set, your qualifications, the interests and passions that you have. And I, as a reader, I know how exactly you've been able to demonstrate those through your career so far. Right up the very top, again, don't just repeat the resume. Give me something more. This is an opportunity for you to really expand upon your resume. Obviously, your resume, you're limited to just a bullet point, which is 1 or 2 lines. This gives you an entire couple of sentences that you can talk about your stories. You can brag about yourself, because if you're not bragging about yourself, no one else is. So keep that in mind. Number 2 up there, sample of your writing skills. This, just like your resume, is an assessment of who you are as a candidate. Make sure you are writing in complete sentences, your grammar is correct. Make sure everything is ready to go, because this is an assessment of you as a candidate. It is an extension of your writing skills and extension of your communication skills. If you are telling me in an interview that you have wonderful written and oral communication skills, but I'm getting a load of jumble in your cover letter, I'm not apt to believe you with this. So this is a great opportunity to really set the tone for who you are as a professional. Select certain skills and experiences to highlight based on what is the most relevant position you're applying for. So as we talked about, tailor your resume to the job position that you're applying for. If you have certain student organization experiences, if you have an involvement opportunity or leadership capacity, going back to high school even too. If you have all these that are more relevant to one position and some of these are more relevant to another, utilize those in different ways. Like I said, your experiences, your past, who you are does not change depending on whatever, no matter what position you're applying for. So your history stays the same. So I think you can write a cover letter in a way that hits on most of these skill sets that you've been able, and experiences that you've been able to develop in those experiences in a way that allows you to just change a couple things here and there to really tailor that resume, right? We're not looking for you to recreate the entire document, every single job that you're applying for. Again, relate your previous accomplishments and experiences to the company, right? Showcase that if they're looking for a marketing strategist individual, showcase how you've been able to utilize your critical thinking skills, your leadership ability, and even some consulting experiences in order to say, hey, I've already done this. I have already done this, and let me tell you how I've been able to do this thus far. And tell me those accomplishments. Say, because of your involvement in this organization, what was the end result? It allows us to get to know you as a professional a little bit deeper than we can with your resume. Is this all making sense? So really, at the end of the day, it's a story about who you are, how you've been able to develop and showcase these strengths, and really being able to pinpoint the language that is used within the job description and put it in this cover letter. So that way, again, if I'm looking for a candidate with leadership skills, organizational skills, and collaborative skills, you are saying A, B, and C. You're using that exact same language, and it showcases to me that you know what you're talking about. And it showcases to me as a recruiter that you are the right person for this job. Lastly, again, express that genuine enthusiasm and confidence. Whenever you can, talk about the company and say, I am excited to join the Johnson & Johnson community. J&J is big on their credo. If you are applying for a job within J&J, bring that up and say the credo that guides J&J employees, I have also utilized within my personal life. They're going to love that. But that means that you are doing a little bit of homework, you're doing a little bit of research on this company, so that way you can pinpoint some of these goals in the mission and vision statements so you can put it into the cover letter. Okay? So this is, again, just a very brief example of how one could look like, how one paragraph could look like on here. Again, be specific. Don't just repeat what you have on your resume. Be specific about these stories. I say you can use 2 or 3 sentences per story, maybe even more. Maybe you held a leadership position on campus or a volunteer experience that was so impactful for you, so powerful, that you want to dedicate an entire paragraph to it. That's fine. As long as you're able to relate your experiences, what you're able to do there, to this company. Why should I, as a company representative, care that you're telling me about your involvement experience in the accounting society? Why should I care that you held this position within your National Honor Society in high school? I care because these are the skills that you can then bring to this company. So whatever you can do to relate those experiences together, all the better. And then we wrap up with a conclusion paragraph. It's, again, short, 3-4 sentences max. Again, summarize what you just told me. What are the skills that you really want me to know that you have and possess to then be a successful candidate in this interview process? So refer to the position and company again. I'm very excited to apply for this position in this company. State that you hope to have an opportunity. Again, I want to flip this. Tell me that you're excited or you're looking forward to the opportunity to meet me. Don't say, I hope you enjoyed what I read or what I wrote. Don't say, because it comes from a place of begging. If you flip it on its head and say, I look forward to explaining this, or I look forward to joining the J&J community, that tells me that you know what you're talking about. And I'm way more interested in a candidate who is confident about their self compared to a candidate who is just wishy-washy about all this stuff. Invite them to contact you at the appropriate phone number and email address. Again, for any questions, you may contact me at so-and-so. Actually put it in there. Even if you have the contact information at the very top, go ahead and just reiterate that down there. And then thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Something very short and sweet and simple like that. But again, relate it back to the company. Find little ways throughout the entire document that you can then bring in the goals, the mission, the values of this company, and say, the values that are guiding your employees, I also like in my own professional development. Talk to us about opportunities that you see within this company that feel like you can really benefit from. So if a company has a really diverse culture and a culture about professional learning opportunities, bring that up and say, through my experiences, I have greatly valued and cherished community and diversity, and I look forward to contributing to that through the employee resource groups that you have. That shows, again, you have done the research, you know what you're talking about, you know what you're stepping into. So all good things like that. Obviously, make sure you close correctly there. Sincerely, best regards, whatever that is, thank you so much. It is all fine. Just make sure you close that out. If you wanted to, I'm a big fan of having actually a signature on there. So if you wanted to, you can do this in a number of different ways. You can have your resume all printed out and then sign it and then scan it back in and send that electronic copy to your job application. Or if you wanted to, just take a blank piece of paper, sign your name 2 dozen times, scan that sheet in, pick whichever best one you want, save that as a JPEG, and then you can implement that every single cover letter that you utilize. It's little things like that that really showcase that you know what you're talking about and you're putting the care and attention into this. And that's really what this is about. Does that all make sense? Good. So same font size and style, just make sure it's consistent. It doesn't necessarily need to be the same as the resume. If, say, you have a lot more information on the resume, not as much information on the cover letter, obviously you don't want to have it to be very tiny writing there. Word and PDF formats, always save it as a PDF. When you are submitting your cover letter to a job application, things can go awry with the Word document. Or if you're emailing that to someone, things can go wonky. So always save it as a PDF. That way you can ensure that it looks exactly as it should look like, okay? And then, like I mentioned, you can use the heading from the resume. So just some additional resources for you here. We at the Business Career Center are always happy to take a look at your cover letter as many times as you want us to, right? We want you to be comfortable. We want you to be confident in your professional story. And if that means having you come in and talk with us weekly to review one paragraph at a time, great. So be it. We're happy to help with anything and everything. The Penn State Career Services office, also they're in the Bank of America Career Services building right next to UHS. Also a really great resource. You could just walk in. You have to have your cover letter or resume printed, but they're also happy to take a look at that as well. Okay? So again, really quick run through of what cover letters are, what should be on there, but I wanted to make sure that I left time for your questions. So do you have any questions for me at this time? Yes, sir.
All right. So when you're talking about like references and whatnot, or when we were talking about like references, is it better to put it in the document itself or put it in like a reference section?
So never put references in there. They're a waste of space when you should be talking about your personal skill sets that you bring here. The employer will always ask for references either in the application process or down the road say, hey, we like you, we want you to advance, but can you please provide us a list of 3 references? So no need to put that on the resume, no need to put those in the cover letter. Focus it about who you are, okay? Great question. Other questions? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Right. Also, like when I was talking to you earlier, like the company that I'm applying for, I realized that for like when you're trying to address it to somebody specifically, their like company policy, like they don't release any information regarding like hiring managers and whatnot. So should I just delete that from my cover letter?
Just say when you're addressing the cover letter, let's see. Obviously, person's name, title, you're not going to have that.
Yeah, just like get rid of those.
Yeah, just get rid of those. It will still look professional if you can still identify even the office or the branch. If they have an address on there, put it on there.
Okay. All right.
Sometimes they don't for security purposes. That's when you just go ahead and eliminate all of that. And then you will just say, dear hiring manager. There are a lot of companies that hire Penn State students that you're going to run into that issue where they're not able to present anyone else's information or addresses or things like that, right? We get the CIA, we get the NSA here. Sometimes they're not able to provide as much information on there. So great question. Yes, sir.
To that, if they don't have an address, I mean, I just Google where the company's like main office is, and then I just put HR representative.
Yep, that's also a great point. If you know for a fact that you're applying for this company's branch in Philadelphia, go Google KPMG Philadelphia. It will pop up there. You want to be cautious as to, just the company's headquarters in general, because more often than not, you're not going to be applying for the headquarters of the company there. So if you can talk with the recruiter about, which branches it's going to be, oftentimes it's going to be in the job description already. Definitely do that. Use Google Maps, put that in there. It's totally fine. At the end of the day, that's more for just the look and feel of it. It just looks nice and clean and professional. But if you can't find that, use alternative resources. If you still can't find anything, go ahead and take it out. It doesn't change the content of what's on there. Great question. Anything else? Thoughts, comments, concerns about anything? Is this making sense? Good, good, I'm glad. So with that, we're going to end the workshop here.